And good morning, everybody. It is Fabulous Friday featuring Karen Roberts discussing podcasting. Karen Roberts has her own podcast and I met Karen on her podcast. So Karen, please introduce yourself. Tell us everything that you do around podcasting.
Oh, thank you, Claudia. Well, yes, you were a guest quite a while ago when I was sort of just starting out, really. My podcast initially was called A Coffee with Karen, A Cup of Positivity, with just a sprinkling of woo-woo. Now, I thought it was a fun name, and I was interviewing coaches, consultants, therapists, and healers. But there was no alignment with what I was doing, what I was offering. And to be honest, in the beginning, I didn't really know what I was doing and why I was doing it. I was just doing it because I wanted the message to get out there.
You were just doing it. You see,
I was just
taking action.
Absolutely. And I wanted people to hear, you know, there's so many different wonderful techniques out there, wonderful therapies that the average person would never have heard of and wouldn't maybe understand that it could help them. And the power of podcasting is you come on, you share stories, you share about the process and how it helps and who it helps. And the goal is that the listener goes, oh, I wonder if Claudia can actually help me. And that's the way I saw it. And then because I started out actually in radio, I was offered a radio show. The owner offered me the station. And of course, I just said yes again, and to say yes to everything. But radio is limited and it was just too much. I was taking on too much. So I launched a podcast network because we just, let's keep it all simple. But the problem is that so many coaches out there or therapists that want to launch a podcast, as you know, it's not that simple, right? No. And there is a lot to it. And unfortunately, the stats are true. 90% don't make it past 3 episodes. And then out of the 10% that do, 90% don't make it past 20. And I was feeling that. Okay. I remember sat in my flat thinking, I was in feast famine mode. I was, struggling to do all the things that thought I should be doing on social media. Everything was just feeling very, very heavy.
Okay.
And I got a notification from one of my show hosts saying that they weren't renewing that year. And in that moment, I was just like, this really isn't working. It was working for me. I was getting clients, but they weren't renewing because they weren't having the same kind of success. So I knew something needed to be done. Otherwise, I was going to be bankrupt at the end of the year. And I realized, you know what? I've been going about this maybe in the wrong way. It is difficult to grow a podcast when you're starting out, especially if you don't really have an audience. And it is a long-term strategy. And if we're stuck in this instant gratification era, aren't we? People want results now and they're not, unfortunately, prepared to put the work in. For you, I think it's a little bit different because of the reasons why you're doing it. But for a lot of people, this is why they're giving up. And I thought, right, well, actually, the quickest and easiest way to get your message out there is to guest on other people's podcasts. If they've got an audience that is your audience, search out and find people who align with your mission, who already have your audience, maybe doing something in a different way or something that, goes alongside what it is you do, and share your story on their podcast. And what we found was, this works. But again, a lot of people going out and guesting on podcasts, again, they're doing it in the wrong way. So we decided to really sort of focus on that process, how to pull maybe the right story out and deliver the story in the right way, how to showcase what it is they do and their process. And then also, how do you bridge that gap between guesting on a podcast and actually getting a client? There's a bridge.
Yeah.
And we've tried all sorts over the years, right? We tried it all. Running workshops, live workshops, 4-hour workshops, book a call, everything.
Yeah, good. Yeah, no, I love it. This is brilliant.
And it's very difficult to take somebody, where you've been a guest on somebody's podcast, they don't know you. And yes, sharing your story is step one. It's all about resonating with the listeners. But then to get them to maybe book a call is a bit of a big step.
Yeah.
And what I think people are really wanting these days is the connection. So what can you do to create an experience for people rather than, I don't know about you, but if you've had guests, they want to build their email list. So they're going to give something away for the email and think that nurturing in emails is going to be a way to make them a client, which I'm sure it does for some, but in general, I don't know about you. Do you? I'm terrible at checking my emails anyway, and quite often they're going spam, don't they?
I've got about 30,000 that I've not seen.
Yeah. And we buy much from these emails? What people crave is an experience. They want to know what it would sort of look like working with you, because maybe taking that next step, for you, sharing what you do, they might, okay, their ears are pricked up and they think, maybe Claudia can help me. Literally. But actually, that's perfect for you, isn't it? Perfect for you. But maybe they need more questions answered. Maybe they need to know a little bit more. So by creating something on the back end that's really sort of low resistant, but isn't just a cheat sheet, something quickly that they've made up using AI, but something really, really of value.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are afraid to give their best work because they think, well, then they won't need me.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe the opposite is true. They're not going to trust you. Right? They're not going to trust you until they really do believe that you have the solution for their problem. So by giving something of truly of value, something that they can take away and actually get a result from, because the best way to help somebody is by helping them.
So that they can actually physically feel the result.
Absolutely. Because we can talk about it. You can say my method is the best method out there. And, until somebody has experienced it for themselves and got some kind of result from, they're going to want to come and do more with you. And I think there's a lot of fear of giving away too much.
I love this. And thank you, Karen, for saying this, because I get a lot of people coming back at me saying, why are you doing free group bunny talk process help? I do it sort of like twice a month, maybe, for everybody. And literally it's for that, so that they can see and feel the result themselves there and then, and how it works so quickly and efficiently. And
Absolutely.
That I don't need to hear the story.
Yes.
And I actually, because there's so much to it, as you say, this, you can tell them means nothing.
No, it's sales talk, isn't it? It's just talk.
Experience it, share an hour with me and experience it. And people have, and they do. And then it's like, oh, now I get it.
Absolutely.
And so, do you know what? Thank you for almost validating that with me, because sometimes, I believe we can all second guess ourselves, because when you get other people going, what are you doing that for? And I get other people saying, that's great. And then it's like, well,
yeah.
But thank you. I agree. That's what I'm doing.
It does come from, obviously, everybody's in business, even if, and I do come across this a lot myself, where people they're healers of some kind, therapists of some kind. And there is a slight disconnect with, yes, they want to help people, but also, if this is their business, they've got to make money, right? At the end of the day, you're doing part of it to help people. But if this is your only way of, paying the mortgage, then you do need clients. And there's nothing wrong in that. So combining the two, and then that way, the people who really do need your help and do need more, they're more willing to pay, because you just talking the talk or having AI write a fantastic sales page and loads of testimonials. Yes, you might get some, but you'll get more when people, because we only know something really when we experience it for ourselves, right? The rest is just white noise.
Exactly. It's like the same with our children. You can tell them,
unfortunately, yes,
you know, that you might not like to do that, but they have to go make their own mistakes, and it's okay.
Yes, absolutely. And so I think that way, so that's really how we have sort of evolved. Yes, I still have the podcast network. Yes, we still help people launch their one. But I truly believe that unless you've got all this lot dialed in, maybe you're not ready to launch your own podcast. So do things one step at a time, because it is a big step. And unless you are consistent with your clients as well, you're not going to keep up doing a podcast. You're going to be chasing the vanity metrics, and look, I admit, I fell into that trap as well. You're constantly looking for extra downloads, and it's not about that. It's about getting your message in front of the right people. You can have a phenomenally successful podcast with 50 loyal listeners, and everyone's going for, why haven't I hit this number, this imaginary number, right? And we all do it. Like, I do it. We're close to, I think, 1 million, and there's something about that number. But it didn't happen overnight. It's taken me 5 years of hard work to get there. And actually, it's irrelevant. It shouldn't, and it shouldn't be about that. If the way I see it is, if I can change the way someone thinks, because for me, that's the thing. It's about shifting beliefs in the listener. And giving them the confidence to take that step and do that, because it has a ripple effect, doesn't it? The more people they're helping, the more people they're getting out. It's all this sort of ripple effect. They're getting out and helping more and more people. If I can make one person shift the belief, then I've done my job.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it, people will come when it's the right fit for them, when it's the right time for them, when they're ready, then they will come. And that is our job. And I think when we can become detached from the outcome, it's strange, isn't it? That's when things just sort of flow.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Karen, is your podcast still called the same thing? So, okay, what is it called now?
So now, because yes, I am about the business of podcasting, it is called the Podcast Profits Unleashed podcast.
Oh yeah, well, you've got it in your thing there, Podcast Profits Unleashed. Okay.
So now it's in alignment, right? It's alignment, that's my website, Podcast Profits Unleashed, everything. And I think that's what was missing. I mean, maybe even for you probably didn't know what I did coming on as a guest. I was just the host of this A Coffee with Karen. And I think we can try and get maybe clever, which I suppose that's what I thought I was doing. I thought it was a fun title, but if it's not crystal clear to the listener who it is you are and who it is you help and what it is you do, how can you expect to sort of get anything from it, right?
Yeah. Okay. And I remember receiving some information from you and how we can become a podcaster ourselves, because you've been there, you've done it, you know how to do it. And so who are your guests now, out of interest?
They're all entrepreneurs, so it is more business related. I have come away from the woo-woo side of things, I suppose. It is more branding experts, salespeople, because I am helping other coaches, I'm helping entrepreneurs grow their business through podcasting, whether that's a host or whether that's as a guest, either or. So I'm just trying to do everything that I can to help them, because, this, Claudia, there's so many different ways. There's not one way. And even the way my outlook on podcasting isn't the only way. There's lots of opinions out there, and they're all relevant, and you've got to find the right fit for you. So I just talk about my process. And so for people, if that resonates with them, great. If not, go and find somebody else. There's so many ways to grow your business online these days, whether you have a podcast or not, whether you do TikTok videos, whether you do reels, but whatever it is you do, it's got to be the right fit for you. Podcasting isn't for everyone. Podcast guesting isn't for everyone, right? Find the right thing for your energy, for your personality, for your skill set. You go with what works for you.
And skill set is a big deal there, because the technology side of it can, the sound, all of that can really, put people off and just go, no. And they'll literally just do a hard no. And so I think the best way for them to start, if people keep saying to me, you've got to go on, do videos, is to be a guest.
Yes, absolutely. And that is why we sort of, switch from that, because it's interesting. I never had it in my head as a business option. What I was doing, I was trying to coach my guests, because I want my guests to shine. I want them to show up and shine. I want them to get business out of being on my podcast. So what I was doing for free, I was sort of coaching them through the process. And I was like, well, actually, probably everyone who wants to guest on podcasts needs help with this. I mean, it's funny, we all don't know what we don't know. And sometimes when we've been doing something for so long, we forget our own journey and what we needed to learn along the way, and how to tweak it and how to get the most out of it. So yeah, now that's why I'm doing it in that way. And then our side of the podcast launch side, we don't even take people on now who are going to do it themselves, because we know that they're not going to continue. So what we do now on the other side of it was we say, like, well, we're going to do everything for you. So we're a podcast production company, so that the person can just hit record. Like you say, they don't want to know about the tech. And we do the whole setup, the launch, the editing, the reels, the blog posts, the whole lot. But, the truth is there's so many tools out there. But again, if you're a therapist or a healer, you don't want to go and learn this particular tool. You want to do what you do best, which is helping people. Yeah. So that's why now we're like, well, okay, we'll take over the rest of it so that you can do what you do best.
Oh, fantastic. I love that. So we're going to get all of your information in the show notes, Karen. And out of interest, I mean, how do people find you to be a guest? I mean, do you find them? Do they find you? How do you go about it?
In general, we do tend to use a company called Podmatch. It's fantastic. Claudia, maybe you should try it. It's like a dating app between podcast guests and podcast hosts. It does make it a lot of I don't just use that. People do reach out to me as well. And if I feel they're a fit, they do that. What I would say is what I'd like to give your listeners as a free gift, if they want to go and, experiment with this and go and guest on podcasts, is the story side of it. So what I've created is a custom trained chat GPT, and all it's going to do is ask you questions. Now you can start your story of when you first got qualified to do whatever technique you're doing, or was it the pivotal moment when you changed from this to that? It doesn't matter. You're going to have loads of stories. So I've called it the Story Bank GPT, so that you can build on a load of stories that are relevant to what it is you do. So that's free. And then if you want to go through, I do have a 4-part mini course, which will go through sort of the challenges of, well, where do I start? I've got to find the right show. I need to pitch in the right way. I need to, how do I build this relationship with the host? Because the way I see it is podcast guesting or hosting allows you to do 2 things that you need to do in your business anyway: build relationships and create content. And you get to do the 2 at the same time, right? So yeah, that will be that's an option that you can go through that as well. But yeah, just have a little play around with the chat GPT. I'm not a natural storyteller, Claudia. I come from the coaching industry. And what we have found is just showing up to teach doesn't necessarily shift people. It is, they want to hear why you're doing what you're doing, what changed. And some people are natural born storytellers, and it's amazing. If you've watched the interview with Alex Hormozy and Tony Robbins, have you seen that?
Yeah.
It's there you go, masterclass in storytelling. I'm not naturally like that. I come from, I instruct, I teach, I help, and so I default naturally to that wanting to teach. And that doesn't necessarily work in podcasts. It is, people want to hear the stories.
Yeah, because it's not necessarily a story. And actually, you're right, because I was lucky with that, because with the Bunny Talk process, it is a story.
That's it. Yeah.
That's how it started.
Absolutely.
But that came, and it's real. It's real. It's very real, and it's very emotional.
Mm-hmm.
And
that is it. It's when they're your stories, you don't have to remember them. This is the beauty. Yeah. We don't want people to read from a script. That's not what this does. It just helps you deliver it in a way that's going to connect with the listener, because I would tend to sort of, start here and, well, I did this and then I did that. And that's a little bit boring and nobody wants to hear that. So it's about how to deliver the story in a way that is going to connect.
And as I say, because I know there's times when I've told it and people have been crying. So because and I never know when it's going to hit me as well, because it just got, I can't help it, because we're emotional human beings.
100%. So that might be something that would help people.
I think that will help
a little bit more like me and not like you, Claudia. They're not natural storytellers, and it just might help with that initial intro.
Well, it's just people, they don't even necessarily know that. It's just more information. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's great, and thank you for giving that to the listeners, so they'll be able to find that. So thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being my guest, Karen, and no doubt we will connect again soon. So thank you again. It's goodbye from me, Claudia Rickard, and it's goodbye from
Karen
Roberts. Take care.